Bear down, Chicago Bears. Today, we are talking about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is looking like the first pick in the NFL draft to the Chicago Bears. But what are we doing? Because this is one of those weeks where we already know what's going to happen. So we're going to play the what if game during the course this week. So our mock draft towards the end of this is going to be based on not taking Caleb Williams and seeing what we could do, and do we do a good job of building this team for the future through this draft without using Caleb Williams. However, we do have a CBS report ranks the top quarterbacks from 2020 to 2024 in draft classes, and they're going to see how Caleb Williams stacks up to a couple of these other guys. You know, we haven't seen the NFL play out yet, but we'll make an educated guess. CBS Sports will anyway. Matt Eberflus is talking about Caleb Williams, saying that he's been an outstanding person so far. Kevin Warren has given an update on the stadium situation. Mike Tannenbaum from the NFL, he's a former general manager, by the way, and he does a draft. And in his mock draft, the Bears end up getting Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. And the Bears have kind of given us an indication about what they're going to do with the number 9 pick overall. So if you like this type of content, make sure that you hit the like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. At least consider that. Try to do this every day at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time to give you all the information that you need in order to know exactly what the Bears are doing and provide you with a little bit of fun and speculation on what could maybe possibly kind of sort of potentially happen if you just listen along and give it a chance. So hit that like button on the way in, and let's kick it off with number 1, and that is the ranking of the top quarterbacks from 2020 to 2024. CBS put out an interesting article today, and they really kind of broke down like who are the best quarterbacks so far in the draft and how do they rank up. And listen, this is going to be wild when you start to listen to it, because guess what? Caleb Williams, not that generational of a talent, according to CBS Sports. In fact, he doesn't rank very well at all. But you know who does? Drake May. They rank Drake May higher than Caleb Williams coming out of the draft. So, based on what we've seen in the first 4 years of the NFL from the famed 2020 quarterback group, the first 3 seasons of the 2021, the down 2022 collection, the rookie season of Stroud and company, and projecting the 2024 class forward, this is how I would rank the passers from 2020 all the way to 2024. And just in case you want to know, it's going to be Chris Trapasso who's making this wild-ass allegation here. He says the number 1 quarterback coming out from 2020 to 2024 is Joe Burrow. I will not fall victim to a recency bias and drop Burrow well down this list just because he didn't play late in 2023 with a hand injury. However, had T. Higgins departed for free agency, I probably would have, but he's back, so is Jamar Chase. So he's saying that while Burrow isn't the athlete of many of the other quarterbacks, he has that chat GPT processing speed and thread-the-needle accuracy. Plus, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo hasn't gone anywhere, so the Bengals should still be one of the league's most balanced clubs. Number 2, he picks Jordan Love. Slowly but surely, Love morphed into one of the bright young quarterback stars in the NFL. And take a minute to think about the talent around him. Green Bay is young and loaded and were a few fluky plays away from the NFC title a few months ago. Yeah, they were a few fluky plays away from not being in the playoffs as well. So their coach is about as successful as a new coach has been in his first stop. Number 3, they call C.J. Stroud. Stroud had a sensational debut season. Runaway Offensive Rookie of the Year, well-deserved, and he would have earned that award in any of the last 10 years, if not longer. Remember last draft season when we wondered if he was athletic enough to be creative when protection collapsed in front of him? Turns out, yes, he was. And some of the Stroud's most magnificent plays occurred outside the pocket in year 1 in Bobby Slowick's offense. Number 4, Drake May. This is where it gets wild. Drake May is a certified baller. Big time throws, ad-libbing, running when needed, running when it's simply a way to get the numbers advantage on the defense. May can do it all. And while I'll admit the North Carolina offense appeared straightforward and simple, what collegiate offense isn't today? This is close to a mega talent at the quarterback spot who will, yes, make a mistake, then come back at the next drive and connect on 3 spectacular throws and dive to get that critical third down conversion in the offense. Of course, like all the other rookies, his situation will be vital in projecting the career forward, but I have the least worries about May's acclimatization to the NFL. Number 5, he gave Justin Herbert from the Chargers. I said, we're talking a pure throwing talent. Herbert is number 1 on this list. I was enamored by his game in the 2020 pre-draft process, and that adoration has not wavered, but I would be lying if I wrote that I haven't wanted to see more of him entering the 5th season. And then number 6, Caleb Williams. Williams is going to be drafted by the Bears. If he's not, it'll be one of, if not the biggest shock in modern NFL draft history. And I like that Chicago has done building the roster around him. Everything advertised with Williams is legit. Strong arm, quick release, high level accuracy, amazing improviser. I have him lower than May on this list for last season, for that last reason. For as jaw-dropping as he can be creating outside the pocket as a runner and how he did find that receiver thrower, I'm slightly worried about him resorting to that backyard style a bit too much in the NFL and how sustainable that will be. Sounds like coaching to me. Number 7, he gives you Brock Purdy. Guys, I'm not even making this goddamn list up. Number 7, I've never been a huge believer in Purdy's physical traits as a passer, but his mental processing speed is incredible, and he's always been a deceptive scrambler dating back to his Iowa State days. Number 8, Jaden Daniels. Daniels is a supreme quarterback prospect for all except his propensity to run when it's unnecessary and take too many sacks. He'll instantly be the most exposed athlete at the position in the NFL, demonstrated uncanny downfield accuracy in the NFL, in the SEC, and has plenty of arm to make essentially every throw. Then, number 9, Tua Tagovailoa. He led the NFL in QBR a year ago, then followed with a 101 rating in 2023, but he's number 9. Fuck my fucking life. Number 10, Will Levis. I'm all in on Will Levis, especially based on the brilliantly bright flashes he demonstrated in year 1 on a Titans team that had one of the worst rosters in the league. And by the way, I do like Will Levis myself. And then you have number 11, Jalen Hurts. Number 12, we're going to just kind of skip through here. Trevor Lawrence. Anthony Richardson from the Colts, number 13. Number 14, J.J. McCarthy. Number 15, Justin Fields. Number 16, Bo Nix. Number 17, Michael Penix. Number 18, Mac Jones. Number 19, Kenny Pickett. Number 20, Zach Wilson. Number 21, Bryce Young. Number 22, Trey Lance. So, guys, just in case you're wondering, if you ever see a guy by the name of, what was his name again? Chris Trapasso, point and laugh at this guy. Jesus Christ, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. So yeah, that's happening real time. Anyway, so let's move on here. Caleb Williams praised as outstanding by the Bears' Matt Eberflus. Everything looks great. These are the statements that Matt Eberflus said as he's talking to the NFL's Tom Pelissero. He divulged that he had other members of the Bears contingent had dinner with Williams prior to his USC Pro Day. Said that he's an outstanding young man and everything looks great in terms of his personality, character, and football knowledge. He stopped short of declaring that the Bears will take him first in the overall draft, but all signs are now pointing towards that case being traded, that after Chicago traded Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 weeks ago. Now, it was said specifically that just because they traded Justin Fields does not mean that it was for Caleb Williams, and Ryan Poles himself is the one that made that assertion and said that, maybe there'll be more to it, or maybe there'll be something different here. I don't know. But after seeing quite a bit of game reaction at Oklahoma and the Trojans, they are apparently all in. So we'll see whether or not they are. It seems like they're pretty much all in on it at this point. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to Kevin Warren. Has said that he's going to provide an update on the Chicago Bears stadium plan. And what does he say? He basically is now saying that, look, this is going to happen. And the focus right now is on something downtown. They're not looking for some sort of wild anywhere else. The plan is to put a shovel in the ground on the lakefront, was his statements. The Bears have been in a property tax dispute in Arlington for a little while, but, I don't think that really, that's a practice platform, if anything else. They did propose a tax bill, by the way, at Arlington Heights. So maybe there's going to be some kind of compromise there, but I think it's pretty much done deal at this point. and as a matter of fact, I think Kevin Warren's statement was, we are laser focused on getting a new stadium on the lakefront, and that the plan does have momentum. Now, of course, there's going to be somebody out there who's going to cry about it and say, well, we're going to have the marshland at the lake in Michigan, and we don't want to hurt the fishies, or whatever it is that they say. I don't know when they use the word. Sometimes it's just mumbling, and you just hear it, and you're like, oh, God damn, they're talking again. You know what I mean? So there's probably going to be a little bit of that happening pretty soon. So, just stay aware that it'll, take place. But I think that the Bears are absolutely 100% moving into this. They're absolutely going after Kevin Warren at this point. So, are going after Kevin Warren. They're going after that lakefront property, and that we'll probably see something happen a lot sooner than we think regarding that. Now, I got one more, and this is a wild draft pick here. Mike Tannenbaum, former NFL general manager, is calling for Marvin Harrison to the Bears and Caleb Williams in his mock draft. Now, it is absolutely wild to me that the guy just pretended. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, because here's what he says. This is what he's giving you. He's giving you, and matter of fact, former NFL general manager Mike Tannenbaum released a mock draft Tuesday that may seem like a fever dream. The longtime exec who now works at ESPN released a mock of how he would draft if he were running teams, and it resulted in the Bears landing Caleb Williams with the number 1 and Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 9, which, by the way, it seems like is probably the way that it's going to go. Not that we're going to be able to pick up Marvin Harrison Jr., but his top 10 played out. I'm going to pull this up because it's almost unbelievable. Chicago Bears at number 1 are going to take Caleb Williams. Exactly. Washington Commanders, Drake May. New England Patriots, Jaden Daniels. Arizona Cardinals, J.J. McCarthy. So we're moving on from Kyler Murray, I guess. Then we go number 5. We're going with Joe Alt to the Chargers. Number 6, Malik Neighbors to the Giants. Number 7 is J.C. Latham. Going to the Titans. Atlanta Falcons are taking Dallas Turner. And then at number 9, Chicago Bears are taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, guys, we can only wish that the shine comes off of Marvin Harrison Jr. because of some of the moves, some of the things that he's been doing recently, which people don't like because they want you to be absolutely available. They want you to absolutely be part of, they've got a certain thing that they want. And when you're not living up to that, when you're not, when we're not doing that, then you do tend to move down just a little bit because you're not providing them with whatever it is that you think somebody would want, right? So Marvin Harrison could move down in the draft, and they could go with Malik Neighbors instead. It would be incredible to see. And then at number 10, he's got the New York Jets taking Olu Fashanu, which, guys, here's the wild thing. I do think that this is accurate because Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus have both made comments recently in which they kind of indicate that that's what they're looking to do. They're looking to they're looking to surround Caleb Williams with more talent. So we might just see something like this happen. So if we get Marvin Harrison Jr., that would be a fantastic thing. Now, and finally, the Bears are hinting about the direction they're leaning with the number 9 pick. So while it comes as no surprise that the Bears will draft quarterback Caleb Williams as first overall, there's more of a mystery surrounding the 9th pick. General Manager Ryan Poles mentioned 3 specific position groups when talking about options at number 9: offensive tackle, wide receiver, and defensive end. Regardless of how the board falls, a top prospect at any of those given positions should be available for Chicago. I like the numbers, he said. I talked about it when I first got here, but we have different tiers on our draft board. I like the numbers in terms of the talented players that can get to number 9. We're going to do some cool things when we get back to Hallis Hall, kind of break into teams. One team is going to talk about the tackle position, that is the best to go after, then the defensive end and the wide receiver, and use factual information to kind of spit that out. And we'll have a debate in terms of what's more impactful for our football team, short-term and long-term. I'm looking forward to that. When Matt Eberflus met with the media on Tuesday morning at the owners meeting, he said that they'll target players that either help the quarterback or affect the quarterback at 9th overall. So it sounds like we're getting an offensive player that it's going to be a question of whether it's going to be a wide receiver or an offensive tackle in that context. Now, that does not bode well for the defense in that context, but maybe there's some kind of idea here that might play out pretty well, on that. So with 4 quarterbacks projected to go in the top 5, there's a good chance the Bears could have their pick between a top wide receiver, edge rusher, or offensive tackle at 9. That could include Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, or Joe Alt, or even Marvin Harrison Jr., despite that it seems crazy to think that he would drop all the way to 9 and that somebody would go after Malik Neighbors over him. But you know what? The guys played, these guys have played pretty good so far. So, perhaps we'll see something happen. So there you have it. Seems kind of wild that we're having that conversation, but let's break it down. Let's get into the defensive roster and see what we see on this team. And, is there some kind of move here? Is there something that, like when we look at this, by the way, my draft again today is going to be the same thing. It's going to be that I'm taking a, make sure you hit the like button, by the way, on the way in. We're going to be taking, we're not taking Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. We're trading the number 1 overall pick all week long this week, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure that we're locked in on Caleb Williams. I'm just kind of moving it around just to sort of see what happens here, So Gervon Dexter is still, I don't really think he's a question. I have him as a question mark here. That could use some improvement, but I don't know that anybody in the draft is going to be an improvement. I'd like to see somebody like a Chris Jenkins or something like that, which we can get later in the draft as somebody that could happen. But I don't know how that's going to play out. And then we have DeMarcus Walker. DeMarcus Walker, again, fine run stopper, but just not a fantastic, not a fantastic pass rusher in any way. So, I would be a little concerned here, a little bit nervous about what happens with the defense. But the most important thing right now is it looks like the Bears are going after offense. And as they're going after offense, you know what? Let's pop this up over here on this side. And let's do it over here today, just so we're looking the opposite way. So it looks like we've got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Obviously, that's the move, right? Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett at tight ends. That's the move. That's most probably the starting lineup. Are we going to have 3 wide receivers? Of course, but it doesn't really look like one of these. It doesn't really look like. Tyler Scott, I don't think represents a better option than Gerald Everett, and I think we know that. I think when we're looking at this, we kind of know that. So I'm going to expect more 2 and 3 tight end sets. That being the case, there might be a premium, and I did take a tight end in the draft just to make sure that we did have somebody. So then you move on to DeAndre Swift, of course, and then at this point it's speculative, but Caleb Williams. Now, the points of concern are going to be that 3rd wide receiver position. Then there's going to be Coleman Shelton because he's only on a 1-year contract. We do have Ryan Bates as a backup. He's here, I think, for 3 years. So, we do have some options here, but we would like to improve that position. And I don't know. Coleman Shelton is an upgrade over Lucas Patrick and Dan Feeney for sure, but I don't know that he's the answer in the long term. So there are still some questions on this offensive line. And of course, Braxton Jones is that big question. Now, I'm on Team Braxton, by the way. Just like Ryan Poles, I'm on Team Braxton. I think that he's got a tremendous upside, and he's getting better and better and better and continuing to improve. And he's not on the same clock as Justin Fields, so we've got a little more time to improve it. And I think Washington coming in here as a defensive line coach, or an offensive line. God damn it, I said Washington. But I think the offensive line probably going to get a little bit better this year as we sort of kind of unleash, if you will, this newfangled offense that we have on the NFL. And I like saying it that way. I'm not sure if it plays out that way, but you know what? It's my goddamn show. I get to say wild stuff like that. So I think that we have some opportunity here for something big to happen. So hopefully we're going to stick with Braxton Jones, in my opinion. And that would lead us to what we can do in this mock draft. So here's my mock draft. I kept it pretty simple today. I did trade down almost everything that I could possibly trade in order to get down further and further and further. So at number 2, I dropped to number 2. And by the way, if I drop to number 2 and somebody else is available, then I'm taking Caleb Williams. Just for clarity here, because it would be too obvious at that point. So number 2, I took Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 9, I ended up getting J.J. McCarthy. Again, I wasn't looking for J.J. McCarthy. I was just looking to not draft Caleb Williams in this one and to get as many picks as I could. That would make sense to address this team. I didn't get, it wasn't perfect, by the way. This was a difficult sort of draft. I feel like I got a couple of good position players because I got Marvin Harrison, then I got J.J. McCarthy, and then I got Zach Frazier, number 2 offensive center out of West Virginia. Then I got Adisa Isaac. Not sure that he's the starter that I'm looking for, but he is a good pass rusher. So, I think that maybe he's, my first down guy. And DeMarcus Walker is not. Maybe he's first and third down, something like that. DeMarcus Walker is my guy for obvious run plays, and Adisa Isaac might be my pass rusher. Then I got Chris Jenkins, which I think is a phenomenal pickup if we could get Chris Jenkins down here in the 70s, which we do have a draft pick at the 75 position. Then number 88, I took Roger Rosengarten, offensive tackle out of Washington. Again, looking for that offensive tackle to have some players on that line. Then at tight end, Cade Stover from Ohio State. Then number 140, I took the guard Layden Robinson out of Texas A&M. Then Cedric Johnson, edge out of Ole Miss. And then I took another defensive tackle in Keith Randolph Jr., defensive tackle out of Illinois, not to be confused with Johnny Newton, who was the star of that team. So that's how the draft played out. It was, wasn't the greatest. Like I couldn't get this thing for whatever reason. Like I just couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm just trying to, in some of these, just trying to trade down to capture more draft picks, just so I can say these names. And I don't know that that's best for the team. You know what I mean? Like, so I did this today, today, and I didn't feel it didn't feel good. I don't know what you guys think of this draft, but I have questions about every quarterback. You know what I mean? So if you just grant that the best one is going to be Caleb Williams, regardless of what CBS fucking Sports says, naming Drake May as the number 4 quarterback after his 2023, where he didn't do very well, which is wild. You know what I mean? Like it was not he just did. I just, come on, God damn it. Caleb Williams is going to be the best guy to draft in this draft. I'll not name Marvin Harrison Jr. I will continue to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. is, to me, the talent in this draft. But you know what? I could be wrong. I could end up being wrong about this entire thing, and I could, it could just end up being that I don't know what I'm talking about. So, but JJ McCarthy, I think, is also going to be serviceable. What you call a game manager. We want a star. JJ McCarthy, game manager. Really, to be fair, and I do want to say this, not in the worst possible way, in the best possible way. JJ McCarthy actually represents exactly what, to me, Chicago football has always been, which, by the way, is the problem. When I say that, I'm not saying it because I want JJ McCarthy. He represents that game manager type guy, that Jim Harbaugh sort of guy, that Jim McMahon sort of guy. Maybe you're flashy every once in a while, but really you're just kind of controlling this offense and taking it down the field. You know what I mean? We've never really seen that kind of guy come out and just throw it around the field, stuff like that. JJ McCarthy represents that kind of guy, in my opinion, that does that. So that's where we are. That's what the draft was. And guys, the reason that I'm doing this so quickly today is because I got to go. I got some stuff I got to take care of. So I'm going to wrap this up in just a minute here. But guys, what do you think? Is this, and make sure you hit the like button, by the way. Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2, and then JJ McCarthy at number 9, Zach Frazier at number, I feel like I addressed 3 positions of need. And then in the 4th, I got Adisa Isaac, and I don't know that really addresses it. I have questions about that, but that's the best we could. And then defensive tackle Chris Jenkins, I feel like that's at least somebody who can push for starting time and some playing time on the team. And then you get lucky, and Roger Rosengarten turns out to be a marvel. Then you might have just fixed the entire team at each one of those positions. And then you got Cade Stover out here, also a capable blocker and run and pass catcher. So potentially there's a few starters on this that are going to have a big impact. But anyway, that's my time, guys. Got to get out of here. Got to get something done today. It's just one of those wild days, if you will, where it's just one of those wild days. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you that you took the time to come over here and check me out for the day. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out and leave a comment on the video if you will. Helps push me up in the algorithm, even if you're not here to watch it later on. Thank you so much, guys, and you have a good day.